On today's Padone My Take, Big Ben is back in Pittsburgh. We're going to get into the news that comes out of Pittsburgh this morning as that relates to the Browns. Frankie Lindor made some comments as well this week. We're going to dive into some of that stuff. Some people are mad at Frankie, some people aren't. I want to know what you guys are think. The Cavs are back. That's right. The Cavs are currently playing as this podcast is being recorded. Huge win last night over the Atlanta Hawks, breaking the 10-game skid. J.J. Watt Watch 2021 continues, as well as a new watch begins for a former Ohio athlete, possibly on his way to the Browns. What's trending outside the world of sports? Give you my takes on all the trends around the world of sports. But first, a big announcement on Padone My Take, because Padone My Take, my show that you're listening to, that's right, we finally have merch. I've teamed up with the Big Play Store for an exclusive Padone My Take logo t-shirt. Mine isn't here yet. Hopefully by next show, I want you guys to go get a Padone My Take shirt as well. The Big Play Store also has a ton of awesome Cleveland designs, like retro Browns shirts, the Sexland Cavs shirts to rep our favorite backcourt. Visit the Big Play Store today by going to bigplay.com and selecting the store button at the top of the page. While you browse all the great designs, make sure you're snagging a Padone My Take t-shirt. Would help me so much. Even if you don't, use promo code Padone, that's my last name Padone, for 15% off of your entire purchase. Again, that's my last name Padone at checkout for 15% off your brand new t-shirt at the Big Play Store. So happy to announce that partnership. Without further ado, let's do it. Welcome on in Padone My Take, streaming live on bigplay.com. We're also on demand for free. You could listen back to this episode and all of our previous episodes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm your host, Nick Padone, hanging out with you guys today for the next hour or so. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope everyone's having a great day, especially out here locally in Cleveland, Ohio. The sunshine was peeking throughout the entire day, through the morning to the afternoon, all the way up until it was time for that sun to come down and set. What a beautiful day in Cleveland, Ohio. And it all started this morning. It all starts with the news that I wake up to, get out of the shower, and I have a statement on my phone from Art Rooney, who is the president of the Pittsburgh Steelers, that Big Ben is back. He's returning to Pittsburgh. He's not retiring. Obviously, the biggest thing that goes into this is that Ben needs to restructure his contract. He's due a ton of money, and he's unlikely to make all of that, especially now that he's not retiring. Either way, the Steelers as an organization are in a bad spot. And Steeler fan, I wouldn't be too optimistic if I were you about my favorite team. I'm pulling up this statement here from Art Rooney, courtesy of Rap Sheet's Twitter. And Art Rooney writes, Ben Roethlisberger and I met yesterday morning, and we had a productive meeting. We were able to discuss a lot of things that relate to where we are and where we want to be. Ben assured me that he is committed to coming back to help us win, and I told Ben that we would like to have him back to help us win a championship. We both understand that the next step is to work out Ben's contract situation. Signed, Art Rooney II, Steelers president. First thing that came to mind when I read that statement is that's an awfully weird thing to have to put a statement out about. Like, yeah, my franchise quarterback that is under contract with my organization is coming back and is hopefully, and I want him back and hopefully going to try to win a Super Bowl. That's weird. Like, why feel the need to put a statement out about that? But the biggest thing there is the closing line that Ben, the next step is restructuring that contract. And I'm not here to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers all night. That's certainly not. However, as it relates to the Browns, even with Ben Roethlisberger returning, who has just tormented this franchise for such a long time, tough news for Steeler fan out there. 24 free agents on the Pittsburgh Steelers roster this upcoming free agency, this upcoming March. Could you believe, by the way, that March is literally Monday? Like, we're less than 7 days away from March. It feels like it was March 2020, just a few weeks ago. It's insane how time flies. On that offensive line, for Big Ben, doom. Why wouldn't you retire? Marquise Pouncey is already gone. He's their longtime center. I believe 9-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, decorated career for Marquise Pouncey. Enjoy getting blitzed by the Cleveland Browns, by the Baltimore Ravens, Big Ben. Alejandro Villanueva, their left tackle, is also a free agent. Matt Fielder, one of their guards, is also a free agent. Potentially could you lose 3 pieces of that offensive line. If I'm Myles Garrett, Joe Woods, Denzel Ward, that Browns defense, I'm looking at that and just salivating. Like, holy cow. Big Ben is going to come back at 39 years old. His birthday's in March, so he'll be 39 at the beginning of the new season without 3 of his longest tenured offensive line pieces, potentially without Juju Smith-Schuster, who I failed to mention so far. Oh yeah, and if he decides to hang this all up, there's a $42 million cap hit on Big Ben. I have written here in my show notes in the studio, LOL. You know, we had hoped, and when I cracked this mic before the divisional championship game, probably even before the Week 17 game of Browns versus Steelers that determined the Browns' fate, like winning you're in to get into a playoff game with a rematch against the same Steelers team, that a playoff win would have changed everything in this rivalry. It really could have been, and it was, a passing of the torch, so to speak. That Big Ben Roethlisberger is no longer the big bad bully of this division like we've been so accustomed to throughout the last 2 decades in Cleveland, Ohio. And it's insane to me that I log onto Twitter this morning to see this statement from Art Rooney that one, of course, like I said, that he had felt the need to put out a statement. And secondly, that there's just a cumulative rejoicing happening right now amongst Browns fans. Like, Big Ben is back. The guy that turned the ball over 4 times, threw 4 interceptions in a playoff game on his own field against our favorite football team without a head coach due to COVID-19, that guy's back. Our window to win is right now. And I'm thinking for the Pittsburgh Steelers and for Big Ben, why? Why would you do this? Why would you give your fans, and we like ragging on Pittsburgh fans in Cleveland, right? They beat up on us. We beat up on them. Wouldn't be a rivalry. It's the same thing as Columbus and Ann Arbor, the same kind of deal that those 2 cities have going on. It's what we do. But if you're the Steelers as an organization, though, why would you do this to your fans? Why would you string them on further and further, dangle this carrot above their head as if they were a rabbit, saying, oh, Big Ben's back, Big Ben's back. Remember the Killer Bees? Remember the Super Bowl runs, the AFC Championship runs? Oh no, Steeler fan. Those days are days of old. Those days are days of gone. You know, I like to take the betting odds and the Vegas stuff and all that with a grain of salt because they've been wrong before. People have made money on betting before. Obviously, the house always wins, but there are smart bets to play. As I'm looking at this today, the Pittsburgh Steelers are like plus 3,000 to win the Super Bowl this year. They have worse odds than the Browns. They obviously have worse odds than the Ravens, who actually have better odds than the Browns to win both the AFC and the Super Bowl. The Pittsburgh Steelers could, with Big Ben, probably go ahead and go out there and win 10 games. But to call yourself a legitimate team in the AFC, to make an actual run at a Super Bowl, those days are behind you, Pittsburgh. You have good players on your team. Deontay Johnson is good, especially if you don't find a way to pay Juju Smith-Schuster, which seems to be likely. It seems like Juju has probably played his last game as a Steeler. Deontay, not a bad replacement. Chase Claypool, very impressive. Big target, awesome rookie year. As far as fantasy football is concerned, next year could be one of the best in the game, especially with a veteran Big Ben Roethlisberger back. But the NFL isn't fantasy football, folks. The NFL, you have to have the horses. You have to have the whereabouts and the ability to win in the postseason. And it feels weird saying that as a Browns fan because my team has, up to this point, has never done that. But look at the greats, especially at Big Ben's age. Tom Brady, in his 40s, just won a Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers, in his 40s, just played in an NFC championship game. Drew Brees has made playoff runs the last 4 seasons that tragically ended due to a result of controversial calls or just gimmicky things happening at the end of the game. Ben Roethlisberger is no longer in that conversation. I don't fear Ben Roethlisberger any longer the same way that I fear Tom Brady, the same way that I fear Aaron Rodgers. And maybe I'm cynical for thinking that. Maybe I saw my football team have one successful game in the postseason against that man, and everything in my heart and everything in my mind changed. That's where I'm at. And really, what I saw leading up to that held true. The Pittsburgh Steelers lost their final 4 of their last 5 regular season games, including that Week 17 loss to the Cleveland Browns. They lost to the Washington football team, that was ugly. They lost to the Cincinnati Bengals, that was ugly. The AFC in general, and we know about the 2 powerhouses. We could talk about them all night, all the way up until probably the postseason next year. We will be talking about the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen and the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. Barring injury, those 2 are going to be the odds-on favorite to come out of the AFC unless something else happens, unless there's some kind of outside force that could remove those 2 from their current thrones, whether it be Baker Mayfield and the Browns, Lamar and the Ravens. There's a ton of just young quarterbacks in the league. Think of the names that I just read off to you. Patrick Mahomes, young dude in his 20s. Josh Allen, early 20s still. Baker 20s, Lamar 20s. Joe Burrow, second year in the league, should be playing his first full season, hoping that he stays healthy for Cincinnati next year. The AFC is stacked with young talent. Carson Wentz, I know, make of him what you will, but he's going to be in the AFC with the Colts. The Dolphins have Tua. The Jaguars are getting ready to draft number 1 overall Trevor Lawrence. If Houston trades out of their pick, even if they don't, they have Deshaun Watson. If they could move up to 2, they're going to have either Zach Wilson, Justin Fields. It's a new era of NFL football, and long gone are the days of guys like Big Ben, guys that are just in the middle of the road of the end of their career and just refuse to hang it up. And the same thing's going on a little bit in the NFC. We saw it more recently with Phillip Rivers in the Colts. I have Big Ben in that Phillip Rivers, Matty Ice category. And Matt Ryan, the jury is still out because he could have career resurgence under Arthur Smith. Make of that what you will. We'll talk about that much more at the beginning of next, NFL season. The Steelers are in a wonky place. The fact that you have to restructure your franchise quarterback that spent his whole career there and pretty much make him pay to play, even if he takes a veteran minimum, you're going to have a hard time keeping your own guys in-house. I don't know how you get to that situation. I'm not a cap space expert. I don't want to market myself as such. just seems like the Cleveland Browns are in a better spot. And that's what I'm here to talk with you all about tonight. The Browns, as the Steelers are in this red, the Saints with Drew Brees are in this red, ugly cap space numbers. I just said I'm not a cap space guru, but I do know as it occurs to money and most things, if it's red, generally speaking, bad. If it's green, generally speaking, good. The Browns had $30 million in the green roll over in cap space to this upcoming season. They got their franchise quarterback on a rookie deal in a much better place. And there's a conversation to be had about, do you try to get the budget deal done, the Kirk Cousins, Jimmy G deal done for Baker Mayfield this offseason? I would sure as hell try if I'm the Browns. I don't have any hesitancy to sign Baker Mayfield. I think he is my franchise guy. That's not saying that he's not flawed. That's not saying that there's not better options out there. That's just saying that I believe, as does Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski, according to ad nauseum reports, they think Baker Mayfield, as well as I do, is the guy to get them over the hump and get them to the Super Bowl. And he's on his rookie deal. So you could take this year and go all in. The Browns are still in on J.J. Watt. And that's coming despite some ugly things that happened earlier throughout the day, where John Clayton, who is an ESPN radio writer, looks like out of Seattle, was just saying some ugly things that were reported, that the Browns might not really be into Watt, that Watt doesn't really want to come to the Browns. It was looking bad. Watt Watch 2021 took a negative turn today. So here's what happened. This guy, who is a ESPN writer based in Seattle, goes on a Pittsburgh radio station and says, again, allegedly, that the Browns are out on J.J. Watt. That J.J. Watt has no interest in coming to Cleveland. He's narrowed it down to 3 teams, and those teams are Tennessee, those teams are Green Bay, where he's born and raised, a dark horse in the Las Vegas Raiders, which I thought was interesting, and the Buffalo Bills. So Tennessee, Bills, Raiders, and the Green Bay Packers, where he's from. No Browns on that list. Really a bit of a misinterpretation. He said the Browns were on that list, as, people generally sometimes do. Was a little bit irritated that the Steelers weren't a team that were mentioned on that list of landing J.J. Watt that, of course, everybody wants to be on. Who doesn't want J.J. Watt? And he went ahead and put out a rumor that said, the Browns not on that list. But that's debunked. That's not true. The Browns are still in on J.J. Watt. That's according to John Clayton, the writer out of Seattle that had this report in the first place. That's according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, who's saying that J.J. Watt hasn't begun the process of narrowing his list quite yet. That's the next step that's going to happen. So if you're the Browns, you're in on J.J. Watt still, which is a good thing. Even if you strike out on him, there's other guys out there. Carl Lawson, the defensive end for the Bengals, he could give you the exact production that Olivier Vernon gave you, probably at a discount. There's options there. Then this week, if you're the Browns, you have another thing break your way. Another Ohio guy had a tweet where he had to just put out there, just trying to put Cleveland on the map. Be patient. Don't cross me. Marshawn Lattimore. Could you imagine Marshawn Lattimore paired with Denzel Ward reunite the Ohio State Buckeyes in Cleveland? That'd be a whole lot of fun, folks. That'd be the most fun that we've had on this show probably ever. And I know that Lattimore is still under contract. He would require a trade, so the Browns would have to give up either a 3rd and a 5th or a 2nd and a 4th. Who knows what the asking price would be. I will say what I'm sick of, and I'm posing the question to you all tonight on Twitter at PadoneMyTake. We have a poll up. Who do you want more? Marshawn Lattimore or J.J. Watt? Also, you could engage in the conversation on the phones. 216-505-1452 is the number to call. 216-505-1452. Marshawn Lattimore or J.J. Watt, why limit yourself if you're the Browns? You saw what the Seattle Seahawks were able to do. I keep going back to this. With Russell Wilson on that rookie contract, they were able to just sign everyone defensively. They were able to get beast mode, Marshawn Lynch in his prime, the Legion of Boom defensively, and they made a couple awesome runs at this Super Bowl. If you're the Browns, and I'm so sick of seeing the talk on Twitter, and this is really something I wanted to address tonight. I'm so sick of all the talk saying that the Browns can't do it. That the Browns can't be the way with Marshawn Lattimore, with J.J. Watt, because they don't have the cap. That would screw the cap space. Would it? And why is that what we're always so worried about in that town? I don't think it would. Why not both? Go after everything. Be aggressive now. Who cares about the salary cap? The first cap that you need to turn on is not the salary cap. It's your thinking cap. And when I turn my thinking cap on, I think to myself that there's been 55 Super Bowls, and my favorite football team has not played in one yet. Why not now? All the pieces are in place. You have the quarterback, you have the running back, you have the franchise defensive end and cornerback. Why not surround those guys with the other pieces and win a freaking title this year? Super Bowl 56. Go all in, Andrew Berry. Like they say, shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you'll land amongst the stars. Andrew Berry is a smart guy. He graduated from Harvard. The guy that's helping him run the show, Paul D. Podesta, guess what? He graduated from Harvard too. Then you got Kevin Stefanski, the head coach. He graduated from Penn. You have three really sharp guys at the helm of this thing. Why not go all in? Why not give it one chance? Who cares about constantly winning the salary cap championship? The Browns, the Jets, the Jags, the teams that haven't been good in forever. Stop winning that salary cap championship. Win an AFC championship. Win the Super Bowl. Andrew Berry's a sharp guy. He's not going to royally screw this up. There are ways to maneuver the salary cap that doesn't ruin everything. The Browns, in a very real world, mathematically, could give J.J. Watt a fair and respectable 2-year contract to play opposite end Myles Garrett like we all want. And while doing so, they could trade 2 draft picks away. That's all it would take is 2 draft picks this year. Probably not even future picks. And pair Denzel Ward with Marshawn Lattimore. And then you can't even factor out Greedy of this occasion. Marshawn Lattimore isn't going to cost you 26. The Saints are in cap space hell. They need to make some moves. They need to shed that $10 million off their books so they could sign their own rookie class this season. If you're the Browns, and seriously, I hope someone is in Andrew Berry and Paul D. Podesta's ear if they're weighing the options and if they're leaning towards the side of let's not worry about Marshawn Lattimore, let's keep our draft picks. What's more important? Would you rather have 9 rookies on your roster, a roster that you hope could take you to the Super Bowl, 9 rookies, or 7 rookies and Marshawn Lattimore? Because to me, I'd give away the 2nd pick and a 6th if that's the asking price and walk away with only 7 draft picks to get Marshawn Lattimore in Cleveland. To me, Marshawn Lattimore is going to be better today and will probably be better 4 to 5 years from now than whoever you take in the 2nd round of the draft. And Browns fans love to cherish these draft picks like they're gold. My precious. And I've been a part of that in the past too. You have to ace the draft. That's what good teams do. And the Browns have so horribly struggled with that in recent history. Now the picks aren't worth that much, Browns fans. Your favorite football team is good again. You're not picking 1 and 33 anymore. You don't have the first pick for Baker Mayfield and the 33rd for Austin Corbett and the 35th for Nick Chubb. You have the 26th pick, who hopefully will get you a linebacker out of Tulsa. And you have the 59th pick, which most of us won't even be able to, register who those players are at that time, thanks to a condensed, weird college football season. I'm going to pose the question to you. We're going to keep discussing this when we return. Because it's such a burning and such a pertinent issue, and we do still have the poll up on Twitter. If you're the Browns and you could only have one, what do you do? J.J. Watt via signing, via free agency, or are you like me? Trade the draft picks. They don't matter as much anymore. Let's get Marshawn Lattimore in Cleveland. We have the cap space to do it. We have the draft capital to do it. I need to hear from you on Twitter. Padone My Take. You could also call the show and give your opinions on that. The phone number to do so is 216-505-1452. When we return, we'll update that Twitter poll. We're going to talk some Cavs, talk some Frankie Lindor, and of course, talk some more Cleveland Browns. Stick with us. Padone My Take streaming live. BigPlay.com, Twitter, Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, Sportscaster, and as always, on demand, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Stick with us. Alrighty, welcome back in. Padone My Take, BigPlay.com, streaming live, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and as always, on demand on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you're just joining us, we've got a Twitter poll out. We've got a burning question for you all, and that is, if you're the Cleveland Browns and you can only have one, what do you do? Would you sign J.J. Watt via free agency, or would you bring in Marshawn Lattimore via trade? Big question tonight on the show. We have over 80 votes in already. 51% of people are saying sign J.J. Watt. 49% saying trade for Lattimore. And I asked a similar question without a Twitter poll last week. And I asked, just what would you do if you had the option to do either? And I actually opted for J.J. Watt. But now that cryptic tweet is out there, that Marshawn Lattimore said he's trying to put Cleveland on the map. If I'm Andrew Berry, not only did he tweet that, which, come on, let's just leave that be. Tweets are tweets. These guys, are at liberty to tweet whatever they want. It's their lives, and that's what they do in this age of social media. I think it's real, though. I think if Andrew Berry tried, it could get done. It's just one of those, the writing is on the wall situations. And that's not a knock on Marshawn Lattimore. That's not a knock on what the Saints have been able to do for the past few seasons. It's just that the time has come. They've made their playoff runs. They've tried to crack a Super Bowl with their every last breath, and they've fallen short, and it's time to trade Marshawn Lattimore to Cleveland. However, on Twitter, at PadonMyTake, we've still got that poll up. 51% of people saying sign J.J. Watt. 49% of folks are sticking with trade for Marshawn Lattimore. In the baseball world, we're going to get to this Frankie Lindor stuff quickly. Frankie Lindor had to ruffle some feathers this week. Obviously, he's with the Mets now, doing the spring training stuff. You know, they're in the same spot as the Browns. They're having their interleague workouts and, you know, just doing whatever happens in spring training. I don't really know. Truth be told, I can't care about baseball until it actually starts. Like, the first spring training game's always a lot of fun, but thereafter, it's like, come on, let's just get to opening day. And then once opening day gets going, then it really gets exciting. But leading up to this point, come on. So Frankie Lindor's out there in New York just ruffling feathers. And he said this week that he didn't give his best effort in the weight room last year, and that at the end of this season, he was tired, and that's what resulted in his poor play. Now, there were Tribe fans that were just absolutely pouring on to Lindor, saying, you know, how could you say this? He gave up on our team. LOL, I hope the Indians win now so bad. Screw Lindor. Forget this guy. I don't really care. I can't bring myself to care that Frankie Lindor mailed it in last year, because who wouldn't? Like, he spent probably the last 3 years in a Tribe uniform, pretty much openly pleading to the media that he wanted to return to the Indians long term, that he was willing to find a way to do some sort of hometown discount to make this thing happen. And there were offers that were just lowball offers, and Frankie Lindor pretty much bet on himself, got traded, and did so the right way. He didn't say, oh, I'm Frankie Lindor, I'm a locker room cancer, I want out. And he didn't do that whole social media games. He didn't do any of that. He didn't bash the organization. He was honest with the media when he met with them earlier this week. And he said at times last year, he half-assed it in the gym. I feel like a lot of us could say the same in 2020 as it pertains to working out and exercising in a weird COVID year, especially with having to wear the masks and everything in the gyms. I don't get Tribe fans piling on this guy, because the Indians, even without Francisco Lindor at their best, still made it to the postseason. And he was abysmal when we got there in that Yankee series. But Frankie Lindor ain't the reason Shane Bieber got rocked by New York, folks. You know, Frankie Lindor single-handedly isn't the reason that the Indians lost. To my knowledge, again, not a baseball insider, more than one guy takes an at-bat throughout the entire game. Just saying. I mean, somebody else, hello, the outfield, anybody have a hit at all for this whole Yankee series? And the Indians got swept. They did what they set out to do. They made the postseason as the extra team. They had a chance, a wild card game series, whatever. That's a chance. Didn't happen, though. Another question that I wanted to post tonight on Twitter, as always, you could tweet the show at PadonMyTake. You could tweet me at NickPadone12. Do you think that it's possible that the Indians could be better this season without Francisco Lindor? I was thinking about that as I was driving today. And at first, when I said that, like, out loud, I was like, no, come on, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you lose a generational shortstop, like, you're not going to get better. At least not for this year. You know, maybe down the road, this Jimenez kid that you get via the Lindor trade and some of the other pitchers, I'm sure will work out. And you will have a very nice haul from that trade to look back on in 5 years and say, hey, that Frankie Lindor thing, probably not the worst thing that's ever happened. For this year, though, as I continue to think about it, I wonder if I was in that locker room, like if I was a member of the Tribe, Josh Naylor, Franmil Reyes, Jose Ramirez even, Robbie P., not even one of the stars, just one of the average players. And now that this Lindor distraction is behind us, like, let's win some games. We know that we're not trying to appease this guy in his farewell tour. And it felt like at times last year, that's exactly what it was. It felt very LeBron 2008. Like, after the Tribe finished the series with the Yankees and they were bounced and they just bottomed out like they do in the postseason every year, it was a different type of hurt because you were like, yeah, this is the end of the generational guy that we all want to keep so badly. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say I desperately wish the Dolans would have found a way to keep Frankie Lindor in Cleveland. I think there's just something to it that you lose a guy that there was so much hullabaloo about and around, and that was subconsciously in the back of their minds, and you could go out there and just play relaxed. I had the same conversation about that with the Browns, when the Browns were getting ready to play without Kevin Stefanski. When you're getting ready to play, compete, this goes for anything, you know, musicians, dancers, cheerleaders, I'm sure athletes. When you're competing in anything without the largest presence in the room hovering over you, you tend to do better. And that's where I think the Tribe could very well go with Frankie Lindor. You know, say a guy like Josh Naylor, a guy like Franmil Reyes isn't constantly trying to appease Frankie. And again, that's not what I'm trying to say. Like at every plate appearance, Franmil Reyes said, oh, if I don't hit a home run here and bring Frankie in from first, he's going to be pissed at me. I don't think that's what was taking place. I just think that it was subconsciously the elephant in the room, that this is the last run with the guy that pretty much got us this far. His defensive talent is impeccable, unspeakable. You can't even put into words the defensive glove that Francisco Lindor possesses. Offensively, obviously last year was really bad, finished in the 230s, 220s for batting average. Talent-wise, same thing. Again, we can look at this in the same mirror, in the same light as the Cleveland Browns. Talent-wise, are you better off without Francisco Lindor? No, nobody's saying that. However, mentally, this team could be in a better place without Frankie Lindor. I've said it on Big Play Network before. I'll say it again tonight. I actually like some of the moves that they've made. I know, it's crazy. We're allowed to give the Dolans and Chris Antonetti and company a little bit of credit. I like the Eddie Rosario signing a lot. He tormented this franchise for a long time. I'm excited to see him torment other franchises, you know, in our division, in the AL Central for a long time. Hopefully. Obviously, it's a one-year deal, but man, Rosario, give the White Sox some hell. Way too early Tribe predictions. Let's do that. Way too early Tribe predictions. I think the White Sox win this division. Tribe probably could crack another wild card game solely because of pitching rotation. I got the White Sox winning the division though. Too stacked, too much hitting, too much pitching. The White Sox got the second best reliever in baseball. That was not even talked about. Again, nothing in baseball is talked about. Conversation for a different day, however. That's my way too early Tribe prediction. Tweet yours to me at NickPadone12. Tweet the show at Padone My Take. Cavs last night. Here's a team that isn't winning anything. They snapped the 10-game losing streak, though. How awesome was that? This was honestly the best basketball game that I had watched probably since the Brooklyn Nets games, because those games were also close and entertaining. But this Cavs versus Hawks game, it was back and forth the whole night, all the way to the wire, when ESPN Next Gen Stats gave the Cavs like a 1% chance of winning, and they went ahead and won it. They came back from behind in the fourth quarter at the end. This was a much-needed win for the Cavaliers. I've been so hard. I haven't had anything nice to say about the Cavs in a very long time. Let's say something nice about the Cavs, and that is that this was just such a needed win. There's nothing else to say other than they needed that win against Atlanta like oxygen. 11 straight would have been horrible. Obviously, Atlanta is a team that this franchise and organization has had a ton of success against in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Huge win, but huge to do it in the fashion that it happened. To have Dylan Windler come off the bench and be 5 of 5 from 3, huge. To have Lamar Stevens, an undrafted rookie free agent from Penn State, be put into the game for a chance to hit the game winner and then throws down a game-winning two-handed dunk, that bodes well for confidence. The Sexland backcourt actually looked improved and they have all year, but they looked good again last night. Dean Wade, another bench piece in his first career start. On the eve of what could have been his release, the Cavs had to pay Dean Wade, his guaranteed cash today. That was the deadline to do so. So he was pretty much auditioning for his guaranteed money. The Cavs are thin at power forward to begin with, so they kept Dean Wade anywho. He gets his first career start and has a poster dunk on Clint Capella on a putback. It was like one of the craziest dunks that I've seen this season out of Dean Wade. There's a lot to be excited about for the future of the Cavs. And it's tough to see all the time. And I said last week, it's so hard to see the final vision. And after one win, I don't know what the final vision is still. They had just lost 10 in a row. But for the people that are out there trying to trade the young core away, Colin, Darius, split them up, send one of them to the bench. Okoro has had his struggles offensively this season. That's been frustrating for me. I'm an Isaac Okoro fan, and to see him offensively struggle the way that he has at times has been tough. There's a bright spot, guys. Again, same thing I said last week. It's not JB Bickerstaff's fault. It's not Kobe Altman's fault that the ping pong balls fell the way that they did. I'm sure if the ball spit out the first overall pick, they much would have rathered Zion Williamson over Darius Garland. If it spit out the number 2, they probably definitely would have rathered Ja. That's just not the way that it worked. Luck wasn't on their side. The two pieces that they have aren't total busts. They're not Anthony Bennett. They're not going to be out of the league next year or 2 years. The future's still bright. It's hard to watch your favorite team get blown out by 20 on a nightly basis, but you have some pieces. This is all part of it. It's not going to be a quick overnight thing like I kind of thought and hoped it would be after LeBron this time. Colin Sexton has played tremendously well, and that goes without saying. It's been an awesome season for him. Really what everyone hoped for out of Colin going from year 2 to year 3 has happened and more. Scoring, he has become the reliable number 1 option that we all hoped. The guy barely even scores in the teens anymore. He's in the 20s every night. The assists on the season are up as well. Defensively, he's been a little bit more sound. The turnovers, you'd still like to see him cut back on. Snubbed from the All-Star game. And people, Cavs fans especially, have the right to their opinion about this. You have the right to say that you believe that Colin Sexton should have been an All-Star. My hot take for tonight's show is he wasn't snubbed. He wasn't deserving. I love Colin Sexton. If you watch Big Play Reflog on Monday nights on the Big Play Network, I was wearing my Colin Sexton jersey on Monday in the midst of a 10-game losing streak. But if you're going to call someone a snub, you have to say who deserves to be kicked out for the snub to be kicked in. You see, them are the rules. I don't make them up. I just preach them. If you're going to say, Sexton was snubbed, well, who are you kicking out before we do all this? Because I love Sexton, but if you're a true all-star, your team probably doesn't lose 10 games in blowout fashion. And I think Colin could be at his ceiling in all-star later in his career, perhaps even next year. As far as the fan voting went, obviously Cavs fans, Clevelanders, very, diehard group of people, had Colin up there atop the league. But if you're going to call somebody a snub, who are you kicking out? In the East, the reserves, which Colin would have been, voted to a reserve spot by the other coaches in the league. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum of the Boston Celtics. At this point, you're not going to lie if either of those guys out and what they're able to do on a nightly basis. Zach LaVine and what he's been able to do, especially recently with the Chicago Bulls. If Colin Sexton would have been able to do and win a few games and it put up the same stat lines as Zach LaVine, he would have gotten it. No doubt in my mind, because Zach LaVine has been on a tear. James Harden, we know what he is in unbelievable scoring. Julius Randle, geez, career resurgence happening in New York. Ben Simmons, Vucevic, I think it's fair. Maybe I could hear the argument that you kick out Vucevic because the Magic, like, you don't hear anything about them on a nightly basis, but he's a center, and that's a hard position. You know, the guy could give you on his best night 30 and 15. Like, that's an all-star. And it's tough because we watched Colin Sexton give the Cavs 40-point explosion and a win over the Brooklyn Nets and Kyrie Irving, KD, James Harden in their debut together. And, you know, that itself could have been an all-star bid in some years. But I think it's fair. It's fair. It's tough to say, but I think next year for Young Bull, I think he was rightfully snubbed. That's all the Cavs we're going to talk tonight. We are going to stick with the NBA because here's what's trending. Alrighty, what's trending on Padone My Take, presented to you all by my good friends at the Mug. That's right, at the Dugout Mugs. Pitchers and catchers have reported Cleveland Indians baseball is back. There's only one thing left to do for you folks. You know what you need to do. Order your Dugout Mugs so they're here for opening day. It's going to sneak right around us. March is less than a week away. These are real handcrafted baseball bats. They cut off just the barrel for you, engrave your team's favorite logo on there, hollow out the middle, makes for the perfect summer, springtime beer mug to drink out of, enjoy your favorite team, make another run at the postseason. I told you, I think the Indians are going to crack the postseason this year, even without Frankie Lindor. I'm excited to use my Dugout Mugs all summer long. Awesome tailgate item. Impress your friends. My mugs are going to get me through this year, win or lose, and I want you to be in the dugout with me. For my Clevelanders, we're in this same boat together. Visit dugoutmugs.com/bigplay to view their entire Cleveland Indians collection today. Bat mugs, wine glasses, shot glasses, bottle openers, and more. Dugoutmugs.com/bigplay to view their entire Cleveland Indians collection. I'm in the dugout. You should be too at dugoutmugs.com/bigplay. What is trending? I didn't know yesterday what I was going to do for this segment. Full disclosure, a few weeks ago, we talked about the shorts that were going on in the stock market, AMC, GME, the movie theater, GameStop, that were getting shorted by these hedge funds that were pretty much just looking to wipe out struggling companies in the midst of a pandemic to get rich. That's what they do. Well, it boomed, and like these meme stocks kind of just ran the internet for a little while. But then they, as quick as it started, was as quick as it ended. Like everything was just over and done with. Today, it looks like meme stocks are back on the rise. That's the good news. But that's not what we're here to talk about. You know, GameStop, great day, sure. AMC, great day, sure. Been there, done that. There's a new thing in the world of investing. And this is something that I just recently found out about. And I still don't know a whole ton about. So if you know more than me about this, which you probably will if you know anything about this, tweet me at NickPadone12, tweet the show at PadoneMyTake, and that is NBA Top Shot. This stuff is insane. It's the new like cryptocurrency trading. It's like NBA Bitcoin. I really want to get into this. I have their website pulled up here on my laptop where you could buy these virtual cards, these virtual moments where you're pretty much purchasing a GIF of a player. I'm looking at one right here. It's a rare Tyler Hero virtual card. There's only 250 of them, and it's him hitting a three-pointer in a Heat game from December of last year. And you could buy these from all different kinds of prices. You know, there's 3 categories. There's like a standard category, there's a rare category, and then there's like the ultimate super, like all the way Lamborghini category, which like the LeBron cards are in. So I'm looking at this, and like first thing I thought was like, okay, well, you're literally just buying a GIF. Like, who's stopping anyone from screen recording this and just selling it, you know, on eBay or whatever? You can't. You have to use this NBA Top Shop website, and Top Shot NBA partnered up. So the NBA has a hand in this. Like, it's very legit. It's their own form of investing in players, in moments, and matchups. So you could literally like invest in, you know, we're Cavs fans. I'm a Cavs fan here in Cleveland. I think Darius Garland is going to be good. I think Darius is going to have a very promising career. From the looks of it, if Darius Garland throws an awesome no-look lob to Jared Allen, I could buy that card. I could buy that Darius Garland lob moment, and there might only be like 300 of them available after that lob takes place. I could purchase that for like $50, but then other people are going to want it, especially as Darius Garland gets better. It's the same thing as like regular trading cards, you know, like rookie cards are worth Michael Jordan, you know, rookie card is worth more than you know, Matt Barnes rookie card. It's kind of the same thing. So if Darius Garland gets good, like we think and we hope, and he's a young player, so the chances are he'll get better than what he is now. Now this virtual moment that you purchased for $50, you could maybe sell in a week to 2 weeks, depending on how he's playing throughout the season, for 75, 80, 90, $100. There was a card sold on here, a virtual card, mind you, for over $200,000 for a video of LeBron James that it's not a Zoom call. You don't get to talk to him. A video, same thing that you could find on YouTube of him dunking. The difference is this works like Bitcoin. You get the blockchain, which if you're not too familiar with cryptocurrency, the best way that I kind of know how to put it is you get like a serial number so that you own that specific video. That serial number, that blockchain is assigned to your video, so you have the rights to sell that in the market. So this guy that's holding this $200,000 LeBron card is probably hoping, like, if LeBron wins the MVP and if that dunk was his like best play of the season, he could maybe sell that card for $250,000 or $300,000. Like, that's probably what that guy's thinking. I want to get into this. I definitely need to do some more research, as you could probably tell. But it's insane that like this whole cryptocurrency and investing in virtual stuff at this point, like Bitcoin, there's no such Bitcoin that you could like actually hold. You know, it's not something that like the U.S. Department of Currency is just cranking out Bitcoins the same way that they, you know, do nickels, dimes, and quarters. It's something that's completely digital but traceable thanks to these blockchains, thanks to these, you know, numbers that are engraved on there. It's the same thing that Apple does. Like in the world of like material things, with the serial numbers of their MacBooks, of their iPhones, of iPads. Every Apple product that you buy actually has a serial number. And the moment that you buy it, whether you buy it from Apple directly, from Target, from Walmart, from Best Buy, that serial number is registered with Apple. And with that serial number, you could attach things such as, you know, protection plans like Apple Care to your product. And that's trackable, even if you like, that's why you don't need to keep a receipt or keep a card or paperwork for Apple Care, because of that serial number, it's tied into your device. It's tied into your name. It's part of your belonging. And that's what's happening in this weird age of the internet and of being able to buy things online. You could just buy stock in digital things that don't even exist. That's what's trending. I want to check it out more. There's people that are obsessed with this, and I definitely need to get involved. Thanks to everybody for hanging out. What a fantastic hour this has been. Subscribe on Apple Pods and Spotify to catch every show on demand, free of charge. All you need to remember to do is subscribe, leave that 5-star review, and you'll never miss an episode of Padone My Take. Think tonight. We talked about Big Ben returning to the Steelers. We talked about Browns free agency watch. We talked about Lindor's comments. We talked about the Cavs. We talked about virtual stocks and investing. So much packed into 1 hour. Don't miss one of these things. Listen to it in the car. Listen to it in the gym when you're working out. Whatever you got to do. Subscribe to the show. Huge thanks to Dugout Mugs. Of course, dugoutmugs.com/bigplay is to check out their entire Cleveland Indians collection. Check out the Big Play store too. Padone My Take merchandise is live. Use promo code Padone for 15% off. That was the huge announcement that we started off the show with, is that we have our own shirts now. Mine should be on the way soon. Make sure to order yours. Big Play store today, bigplay.com. Hit that store. Get the Padone My Take shirt and check out the other shirts. Use promo code Padone for 15% off. Next Wednesday night, same bat time, same bat channel. We'll do this all again. Go live your life. Go have some fun. Do so safely. Have a loved one. Stay safe, everyone. Love you so much. Goodbye.